How did Zack Snyder include a computer-generated actor in Army of the Dead?
What?
What role did Tiger King have in bringing the zombie tiger to life?
Are you ready for this?
And which X-rated cutscene was just a step too far for Zack? The tale of the actor and the green screen. When the Crystalia scandal rocked Army of the Dead, there was no getting around it. The actor had to be replaced in the movie. The problem was, he'd already filmed his scenes, so fresh reshoots would need to take place with the new actor and the rest of the cast. Then, the pandemic struck, and no one could travel. Suddenly, it seemed like an insurmountable task to replace him in the film. For Zack Snyder, though, he's a master of CG and special effects, so he took on the job of putting Tig Notaro into the movie through the art of CGI. Seriously, we're not even kidding. Filming Tig in front of a green screen, Zack had to get the camera angles and lighting just right so that nothing looked off. But since he's such a perfectionist, this didn't seem to faze him too much. Though, he did reveal that he had no idea how hard it would be to pull off. He told Vulture, "I had to do this incredibly technical experiment, recreating every scene shot for shot. My visual effects supervisor, Marcus Tarmina, did the work of taking Chris completely out of the movie, so Tig could have freedom within the scenes." Well, judging by the final product, all the hard work paid off in the end. And Zack even gave her a fake Oscar statuette for Best Out of Focus Actor. And speaking of actors from the movie, Dave Bautista turned down The Suicide Squad. There's no doubt that Big Dave's stock is rising in Hollywood, but Army of the Dead marks the first time that he's leading a blockbuster production. Though it also meant that he had to turn down the opportunity of working with his friend and Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn on The Suicide Squad. So what was the reason for him making the switch to the zombie flick? Dave revealed he'd always wanted to work with Zack Snyder, but there was also a rather, bigger incentive. He told Digital Spy, "I get to build a relationship with Netflix. I get a lead role in a great film, and I get paid a lot more money."
Oof. Yeah, man. Whole lot of race, man. Whole lot.
Well, when you put it that way, we totally understand. Surprisingly, Dave didn't get the opportunity to Bautista bomb anyone in Army of the Dead, but he received more than his fair share of screen time, something that he wouldn't have been afforded in the Suicide Squad. He hasn't given up on his DC dreams, though, as Dave explained that he'd like nothing more than to play Bane in a film. And hey, if Zack gets to restore the Snyderverse, maybe he might actually get a chance in the future. But this isn't the only DC link that Army of the Dead has, because there are a few more Easter eggs rolling around in the film, and we'll be covering them next. The surprising Justice League connection. Oh boy, everyone knows all about the Snyder Cut drama, and if you don't, make sure to check out our video about its insane history. Naturally, it has been a huge part of Zack Snyder's life, and he even decided to include a few tributes to it in Army of the Dead. Arguably, the biggest nod was the appearance of the Snyder Cut reels in the vault scene. Speaking about it to Screen Rant, Zack said, "Yeah, and it's really funny because it represents this point of when the Snyder Cut was really an archival. It was a holy grail locked in some vault. In my vault." But this wasn't his only ode to his superhero epic, as he even brought a little bit of dark side into his zombie feature. If you take a look at the tattoo on Omari Hardwick's chest, you'll spot that it's a familiar looking symbol, something that DC fans know all too well. Yep, you guessed it, that's Darkseid's trademark logo. So, does that mean that Army of the Dead is part of the Snyderverse? Well, if it is, it could technically be considered a film adaptation of Deceased, or maybe it was just Zack closing the chapter on his time in the DCEU. It was a cathartic release for Snyder. You know how we already mentioned Zack's history with Justice League? Well, it wasn't all roses and sunshine, despite the backing of millions of fans. Zack endured a lot, even in the making, or let's say reshuffling, of the Snyder Cut. In an interview with Uproxx, he said, "It was cool to do the Snyder Cut of Justice League, and that was fun and everything, but Warner Bros. Still tortured me the whole time for whatever reason. They can't help it." However, the experience with Netflix was the complete opposite and unlike anything he'd witnessed before. Zack said it was amazing and more of a partnership than a work-for-hire project. Even Zack's wife and producing partner, Deborah, agreed, saying that Netflix shares a lot more information about how Army of the Dead is tracking, while HBO Max and Warner Bros. Shared absolutely no data about the Snyder Cut's performance. More importantly, filming the latest film was a happy time for Zack. He received the creative freedom to make the movie he wanted without studio interference, and everyone seemed to place their complete trust in his vision. After all the stress of DCEU and boardroom politics at Warner Warner Brothers, Army of the Dead was the sort of production he needed to get back to why he fell in love with filmmaking in the first place. Interestingly, it was also a full-circle journey for him, as it took him back to the zombie genre, which was where he first started in the world of film. Yet, he still managed to get his zombie tiger. Because why not, right? The Zombie Tiger King? When the trailer for Army of the Dead dropped, all that anyone could talk about was the zombie tiger. I mean, even in the movie, Martin mentions that it's a lot. But yet, here it is, in all its undead glory. Funny enough, the zombie tiger has a strange connection to another popular Netflix series, Tiger King. During a Q&A panel, Deborah Snyder revealed the following. Our visual effects supervisor spent a week with Carol Baskin down at her tiger rescue. This was before Tiger King came out. Deborah explained that she didn't even realize the connection until the supervisor told her about it. Turns out the VFX team researched the white tiger to effectively translate it on screen, and Carol played a big role in the final product. Phew! And here we thought the Tiger King phenomena was only a thing during the pandemic as we all tried to overcome lockdown boredom. We guess that we owe Carol a thank you then, because that zombie tiger looked particularly awesome. But get this, it wasn't the wildest thing planned for Army of the Dead, and we'll be discussing that crazy detail a little later on. No chairs on set. Well, this is a detail that's sure to delight Christopher Nolan.
You know, he was like, wow. Amazing.
As it turns out, Zack Snyder wasn't a fan of chairs on set either. But before you attack the comments section with calls for him to be tried in the court of public opinion, hear his reasoning out for a second. Basically, it was a high-energy set with everyone moving around at a fast pace, and Zack didn't want people on set on the days they weren't working. In other words, if you were there, you were supposed to be working, not just loitering around. Deborah Snyder elaborated to The Hollywood Reporter, saying, "We had no chairs. Zack didn't allow director's chairs. I had a chair because I was like, I need to set up my computer and do some work. But I carried my own chair with me around." If you think about it though, it makes sense. A film set is a busy place, and there are tight deadlines at play. Every minute is precious, so there's no time to waste with people sitting around and pretending to look busy. After all, this isn't like a corporate job where people need to pretend to be busy for an entire day, right? The X-rated cutscene. As a filmmaker, Zack Snyder is renowned as a provocateur and grand risk-taker. He tends to not hold back and follow through on even the wildest concepts. Until Army of the Dead, that is. Even he thought one of his ideas was a step too far for this movie, which includes a zombie tiger in all its glory. Although, this scene might have actually pushed the film into an uncharted X-rated territory. While chatting to the Sunday Times, Zack said the following. "We had a sequence where one of the male strippers had a huge penis with a bite taken out of it. We thought that was too much. It certainly sounds like a mouthful. Sorry. In retrospect, it probably was a wise idea to, last pun, promise, chew on this and leave it on the cutting room floor. After all, it is one thing to create a zombie heist film, but zombie strippers is a concept that has already been turned into a movie many years ago. That being said, we recommend you don't search for it while at work or in the company of your family or friends. It's not quite Magic Mike. Of course, you can't mention Zack without talking about the Snyder Cut, so make sure you check our video to find out everything that it changed from the theatrical version of Justice League. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.